I'm in the marketing group at Tegrity. Don't know all that against me. We're going to do just kind of a brief company capabilities overview and talk about maybe some of the little pain points we've experienced along the way. I'll do my best to answer any questions. I may also take down your questions and run back and talk to our product development group. Either way, I'll do my best. And Tegrity's been around for around 10 years, and I've been at Tegrity for 8 of those years. So it has been fun seeing the evolution of K-12 and corporate training. And today we have settled into higher education. Almost 95% of our customers are in higher ed. So we definitely specialize in this space. And we thought we could cram everything onto one slide. I wouldn't have to do any other work in the presentation. So here's the one slide that really describes what we do. Tegrity, the Tegrity Campus Solution, designed to capture, store, and index every class on campus. It's not a little kick the tires, put it in one smart classroom type of solution. And we are selling this way, and it's resulting in wide deployment at many of the customers that we have. We still have a nice niche market of distance learning developers that use Tegrity in more of a production process, but today what we're focused on is trying to make it easy for instructors to record unassisted in the classroom and get that content online as painlessly as possible and have it just show up when the student logs into the course management system. The other thing we focused on in the last couple of years is delivering the content to students in a form and a place and time where it's convenient for them. So all these little arrows pointing out here, I'll show you a couple of examples of this. And I'm sure you've seen the model of, teacher in the corner and PowerPoint slide here, and that is probably the most typical use that our instructors or typical usage model they're using. And this from Santa Clara University. As you can see, what we've developed now, I'm going to pause this here because I did pause just in time.
Okay, I guess we're recording now. So today's lecture is going to be a fun lecture in a sense because we're going to apply just about everything we talked about.
Pretty standard stuff. But here's one of the differences. We've just evolved to this one-click start to stop. So the interface for Tegrity, as you can see on my desktop here, is this button. So we can train the teacher to push that button, talking to a microphone, and don't worry about it. Everything else should be under the hood and pretty transparent to the way they teach. And you can see up here the index is captured along the way. They start at the desktop, open up the PowerPoint slide, open up the browser, and the software is kind of working in the background, capturing all of that, and also creating this index. We focus on on-demand delivery. Tegrity has a live component that's not used very often, so most of our customers are focused on generating an archive of content that will be reused and replaced. And about a year and a half ago, we rolled out a digital notes component that was interesting. As you can see, it's important to index the content. That's so students can find stuff faster. Not only can they go into Blackboard or WebCT, click on that, and get the replay of the class, but now I want to go to just that part of the class. In fact, there's 20 seconds of that class that I need, but how fast can I get to that? And so we've got that automatic indexing you just saw, but we also developed...
What happens when the instructor skips around with the slides?
Oh, you just click on the other index, double click on it, it'll jump to that spot and start playing from that point. Oh, when they're recording, it'll record every time they change the slide, it smart indexes that. It records annotations dynamically, it'll record other video inputs. So the software is running on the instructor machine, and it gives a little bit of intelligence and knows how to create that index and make it a little richer. So we introduced digital pens, and you guys have seen these now. There's one from Logitech, one from Pegasus. We've rolled it out in several customer locations. What the students are doing is taking notes during class. They have a special notebook that goes with this. It stores about 25 pages of notes. When they're done, they put this in the Cradle and upload the digital version of their notes, their handwritten notes, into the computer. And here's the example that shows the benefit. Because most teachers talk faster than you can write. The research shows about 120 words per minute is the average teacher, and you can write about 20 words per minute. So there's always going to be a natural gap in that. Plus, as we were talking earlier, you can either write or pay attention. And it's difficult to do both of those well at the same time. So here's an example of, right, he's a really good note taker, and this student can actually click on one of his notes here when he's studying, and then the Tegrity software goes to the Tegrity server and pulls the content you'll see here on the left side, and my notes are placed on the right. Now I've got a dual view where I can actually replay that.
Your executable and keeps it. So every time you want to run your program, you just run the executable. Yeah, you save a lot of time. Now, the catch is, if you need to change your program, if you need to change your source code, what must you do now?
Yeah, I got it. Let me skip ahead. So I click on hybrid, and I'll jump to that
approach.
So again, it's about giving the students the ability to navigate
All the
quickly through
languages
content.
uses this type of approach.
And you can see on the left side, this content's indexed also. The instructor's got a tablet PC, and we're capturing their annotations. So we're trying to get from a natural teaching model and natural note-taking behavior, to be able to capture this stuff and give it back to the student at the time when they need it, which is usually the night before the midterm or the time that they missed the class. And then the rise of podcasting. Yes?
Have you looked at adding transcripts to that for the hearing impaired?
Yeah, that's been kind of a specialty area that we tried a speech-to-text engine. They don't work well unless they're trained by a particular person, and they get used a lot. They ended up having someone transcribe it. What we've said is allow in our player places to put links to content like that, and to add closed captioning, and to basically add other modules, but using third-party software that works better than that. It's good enough for search, but not good enough for transcript. Generally what we found. And with podcasting now, that we were capturing all this indexed content from the classroom, it wasn't very far to leap for us to actually create indexed content for the next generation of iPods. So if you got a nano, photo, or video iPod, you don't just get a big monolithic audio file. It contains indexed content, which is very hard to demonstrate on iPod for a whole group, so I'll be happy to pass this around. They make a little document camera with a vice on it. You can put that for like cell phone training, but the driver's messed up everything else on the machine. So here's an example, very small, I'll pass this around, but you can actually see from this art history class at Santa Clara University, that the content index, even with text titles that are automatically drawn from the PowerPoint into that device. What's the value there? Well, you don't have to fast forward and rewind as much. It's great to get an audio file from the class. I will actually ask for that iPod back at the end of the session. Try to get away with it. Not all my funky, rap music on it. And then with cell phones as well, we're looking at the Razr right now, and a couple of other models coming out in 3 weeks. I'm still waiting for the developers to tell me exactly which one, but it's the same kind of content, delivering still visual as a reinforcement to learning. I don't think anyone's going to use that small screen as their primary way to get this content. Instead, the iPod provides a great offline device for all the times during the day when you're not internet connected. Right? You say anytime, anywhere at the internet? Not true. I'm waiting in line at the credit union. Where's my internet? Well, now their students are pulling out the teacher from their pocket. I've got 15 minutes. I can listen, take notes, replay, find the spot I need. It's providing a valuable reinforcement, but more of a secondary reinforcement. Okay, our mission, I'll try to keep the marketing fluff down to a minimum here, but we're actually measuring on student achievement and retention. We are doing research with AHAC, and we've tied in results now in specific classes at Colorado State University. We're going to be comparing them to grades. So by the end of this semester, we're going to have some really hard data that's showing actual grade improvements. This is the data on, students can remember only so much, and if they hear it again soon after they heard it the first time, it helps to reinforce it, because nobody can write as fast as the teacher speaks. And the term they use is safety net. The student comes to class, they relax a little bit more because they know they're going to have that recording available, so instead they'll participate. And what do you think the number one fear is that most teachers have when you introduce this technology to them? My students will stop coming to class. Every single one asks this. Our research is showing just the opposite. In fact, it went up just a little bit in the classes that use Tegrity, because the students enjoy the class a little more. They're participating, relaxing, making eye contact, joining the discussion, and not trying to feverishly write down everything. PC is actually very popular and provides a lot of teachers who used to writing on overhead projectors really like that. So let me just show you how much we've simplified. And this is one of our pain points over the years. We had so many features and things you could pick that actually scared a lot of instructors. And so we've dumbed it down to this is our interface. That little button right there. And if I click on that button and put on my little microphone here, teacher can actually select now which course I'm in, and that's going to tell it where it's going to show up inside the course management system. And see if my thing is working, I hit record. So we have trained people in 2 minutes, and they've been able to do it. And let's say we're going to teach a quick geometry class today. I have a PowerPoint. I have to use PowerPoint. And it's recording right now, even though you don't know it. And here's another fancy interface down here. Stop and pause. What I'm going to do is point that out for you. So it's easy to work with this if you're an instructor. And you see I've got a little tablet toolbar up here because I'm using a tablet PC. But for most of them, the standard thing is just running with PowerPoint and audio. And you can do little math classes like that. So I'm just going to hit stop. And then we provide options too for this to be uploaded later at night or right away after the class. We've got an end-to-end solution where it's going to be recorded, uploaded, processed, everything happening with not touching any human hands. But I'm going to ask it to preview right now just so I can show you the quick result. And there's my 2-minute proof that it's easy. I love to bring instructors up to this at the trade show and have them do it, and then, well, I can do that. I'm not going to play the whole thing back. You'll see it's kind of the standard interface. Integrating dial-up version, broadband version. It's already indexed.
2 minutes. And they've been able to do it. And let's say we're going to teach a quick geometry class today. And I have a PowerPoint. Half these
You see it's automatically indexing all that. So it's doing a lot of this under the hood, and this approach to recording in the classroom was hard for a lot of people because teachers, naturally, what they do best is teach in front of a group and be dragged into a studio to do production work or even have to work with instructional designers. So our approach is unassisted. Hopefully no admins have to do any work. So here, this is an example from Blackboard. It's tough to see. There's a little Tegrity link over here. And this is automatically generated. We have building blocks for Blackboard, PowerLink for WebCT. But you can also manually create this link inside another CMS if you want to. What happens when the student clicks on that link is they get an automatic session listing of all the recordings from that class. So the Blackboard building block we have talks to the database, it gets the instructor's credentials, so it knows which course is going to be placed in this repository. And this is actually a little frame coming from the Tegrity streaming server. So you have a server software component that sits on your streaming box, and that's where all the content is saved. This lets them click here to get just the online streaming recording, and then you don't see it on this slide, but the podcasts are also enabled at the same time. So if you have that module enabled, you'll see a link that says iTunes Enhanced, which will let you get the podcast visuals in an RSS feed for people with MP3 players. Again, we're just trying to meet as many needs and give as many choices to the student as possible. This was one of the interesting pain points that we had, and it's not when new customers jump on now, it's easy because you tell them here's the way it goes. That every folder is named by the instructor, it automatically works, turn it on, the podcast are there. But our legacy customers, they manually decided, I want to name it by course instead of instructor. And some of our customers have thousands of hours of recordings. So we're working very hard, even with customers like Kansas State and Central College, to go back in, rename, decide what goes where, so they can take advantage of some of the new automation. So that's, again, if there were standards in place 5 years ago, we might be benefiting from that today. Here's a quick view. Again, iTunes U is very exciting. We see that as a great addition. However, how do you generate the content? Where is the content coming from? We've got this from the classroom to the pocket approach. And some of the students are even just watching it in iTunes. They're not taking their iPod with, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm at my buddy's apartment, I'll just jump on and watch it here instead of, but it gives them more options. And again, we put a lot of focus on this, and I hope you saw that when I passed it around. These little titles here are coming from the actual PowerPoint they wrote. And our content is searchable. We're just pulling out PowerPoint notes and titles and generating these still images. We'll be getting to video as soon as the iPod can handle video a little bit better. As soon as we started converting some of the instructor videos we had, we noticed that it would drain the battery really fast and eat up all the memory. So we decided to go with this more of a still images plus audio approach for now. But as you know, that'll all get cheaper, bigger, better, faster. And plus, we had some comments, and I've showed this to talked to a lot of instructors. The visuals aren't big enough, for most people to have that as a primary content. It's going to be a reinforcement second time that I watched it or the night before the test. We're still working with Apple to get even a full screen on the iPod itself. Yeah, if you open up iTunes, you can get a large. I'm sorry.
Because that was going to be my question. Now you use the M4A, the audio enhanced version. But if you use the M4V, the video version, you will be able to use the still images full screen on your iPod.
Yeah, we're using M4B, the storybook format.
Okay.
So we took the step just before, that's a little more mainstream, before it was the video would really work really well. It's coming.
But you could create a version that displayed the stills full screen in the iPod without using video. As in the video of the instructor.
Yeah, our engineers are working with Apple now to fix that. Actually, working with the storybook M4B. Okay, we've done research with AHEC. This is on 3 different institutions. I don't want all the details here, but you can see there's pretty high satisfaction rates. And from the faculty, too. They've gotten over that little bridge of adoption. They start to use it. The students start, the peer pressure. I'm getting this in physics. How can my math teacher's not recording? And it starts to grow virally kind of throughout the campus. This is one example of that. Southeast Tech, a little school you may not have heard of. They got 2,000 students. They're in Winona, Minnesota. Maybe you have heard.
I haven't actually.
Okay. Minnesota State College, Southeast Technical. Mouthful. But they've got a nursing program where they started Tegrity. The instructors are willing to kick the tires on it. They had provost and CIO were all backing it. But within one semester, they actually decided to record every class.
You're going to say the provost and CIO were all the same person?
No, they weren't. There's even a president, upper president. Okay, and then here's an example of Coppin State, who's got much higher. This is just from the last semester. They've got over 2,000 viewing hours, and he does an interesting calculation on his ROI for this. He's saying, I'm generating an additional 45 classes without new instructors or classes, just adding up the time that students are viewing content and take advantage of it online. And then we introduced this other concept because students aren't just, going online and watching the whole thing. In fact, most of them, as you can see here, this measured by questions answered, they're going in and watching less than 15 minutes each time in the report, which shows I'm using the index, I'm going to the part I want, I'm playing it back, I'm moving on to something else. Go out to drink beer with my buddies. Because, and so that's a different type of measure. And then, of course, he produced some neat reports that showed they actually use it all night long. And, the nights before the midterm, we saw little spikes in it. But he's got usage at 4 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night, and this shows both total hours and number of times that they access it. So that anytime, part of the anytime, anywhere is definitely working there. And this is just one more quick example of an extremely big program. And he has 6,000 Tegrity recordings done over the last few years for both distance learning and on-campus students. And he's converting them all to podcasts, every single one. And this is probably going to be the biggest podcasting program I've heard of. And they just really believe it. Some of those will be converted to the enhanced version that you saw here. Some will be audio only. There's one other quick limitation I'll overview, and I'm open for questions.